So I, 16-year-old female, am named after my grandma, Nancy, my mom's mom. There's a bit of a tradition in my family to name the first grandchild of each gender after one of the grandparents of the same intimacy. I was the first girl. My mom wanted to follow the tradition, and Dad didn't, so I was named after Mom's mom. My dad chose my middle name Sky. Ever since I was in kindergarten, I have used the name Sky instead of Nancy. My family called me Nancy for years anyway, but eventually everyone else would ask for Sky when they wanted me. My teachers called me Sky. My friends' parents, our neighbors, our doctor, everyone. So my family started calling me Sky too, and sometimes Nancy would slip in, but I personally never used it. My mom and grandma were the people most upset. Grandma because she felt like she didn't get her grandchild named after her since it was never used. And my mom because she wanted the tradition too, but also, she doesn't like Sky, and only said yes to it as my middle name because Dad didn't like Nancy, and she didn't want to be unfair. I have toyed with the idea of changing my name when I turn 18, but it feels like that would be a shit show. Ever since Christmas, my mom, grandma, and some other family members on my mom's side have suggested I should use Nancy again. Grandma told me it would mean a lot to her, and she said, I'm getting to an age where the name doesn't seem so bad or old. My mom told me Sky isn't really a name I should be going into my adult life using, and she said Nancy will sound so much better. She also told me it is my name, my real name, and it would be a pain to use a name that isn't my legal first name as an adult. Other family members said I should do it to make my grandma happy. Or I should do it because it seems like I'm rejecting my mom, which is weird to me. My mom and grandma sat me down last Wednesday and told me it means so much to them and pleaded with me to go by Nancy. They said I have used Sky for 11 years now, and isn't it time to grow up a little and use my real name and use the family name? Mom told me it's embarrassing to her because some of her friends have asked why I hate grandma or my name's so bad that I use my middle name like it's my name. I told them I don't want to be Nancy and will not start using it instead of Sky. I told them I am Sky, and that might not be easy for them, but it's what I prefer, and I'm the one living with the name. I'm the person who has to introduce myself. My dad is on my side and has tried to get Mom to back off, but she has been really unhappy since Wednesday and has been a little hostile since my refusal. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Hi, as someone who changed their entire name from that of my family, they got over it once they saw how happy I was. When I told my mom I would be changing my name, the first thing she said was, "Don't tell your father." I don't think I did, but ultimately he doesn't care because the family name is carried on through my brother and his family. Names don't always fit the person, and if it's causing you strife, change it to what fits you. Loving you means loving all of you, and that includes your name. Comment 2. Mom told me it's embarrassing to her because some of her friends have asked why I hate grandma or my name. Oh, they did not ask that. Or if they did, it was only because of a lot of prompting from your mother. Other people are simply not that invested in your family's drama, not the idiot. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. A lot has happened in the past 3 months, and I've got quite the update for you all. So, after the whole name drama during Christmas, things kind of settled down for a bit. My mom and grandma were still giving me the cold shoulder, but I was sticking to my guns about being called Sky. My dad was still my rock, always reminding me that I should be called whatever makes me happy. But then, my 17th birthday rolled around, and that's when things really hit the fan. My mom threw me a party, which was nice, but she introduced me to everyone as Nancy. I was so embarrassed and angry, I ended up locking myself in my room for the rest of the night. My dad tried to talk to her about it, but she was adamant that it was time for me to start using my real name. A few weeks after the party, my grandma got sick. It wasn't anything too serious, but it was enough to land her in the hospital for a couple of days. I went to visit her, and she was so happy to see me. She kept calling me Nancy, and in that moment, I didn't have the heart to correct her. I just wanted her to feel better. But then, my mom took that as a sign that I was finally coming around. She started signing me up for things as Nancy, and even changed the name tag on my door to Nancy. I was furious, but I felt trapped. I didn't want to upset my grandma while she was still recovering. Things came to a head when I found out that my mom had gone behind my back and talked to my school about changing my name in the system to Nancy. I found out when a substitute teacher called out Nancy during roll call, and everyone turned to look at me. I was mortified. I confronted my mom about it, and we had a huge fight. She said she was just trying to do what was best for me, but I couldn't see how forcing me to be someone I'm not was good for anyone. My dad tried to mediate, but my mom was unyielding. Then, the biggest news dropped. My dad sat me down one evening and told me something I never knew about my mom. Before they were married, she had been engaged to someone else, a guy named Nathan. Nathan had died in a car accident just a few months before their wedding. My dad said that my mom had always wanted to name her first daughter after him in some way, and that's why she was so attached to the name Nancy. I was shocked. I had no idea about any of this. It made me see my mom's insistence in a whole new light, but it also made me angry that she had put that burden on me without telling me the truth. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I started by talking to my school and getting my name changed back to Sky in the system. Then, I sat down with my mom and told her everything I was feeling. I told her I understood why the name Nancy was so important to her, but that I needed to be my own person. It was a long and emotional conversation, but in the end, my mom broke down and apologized. She said she never meant to hurt me, and that she would try to respect my wishes from now on. Things have been better since then. My mom has started calling me Sky more often, and my grandma even slips up and calls me Sky every now and then. I thought that was the end of it, but then, just last week, I found a letter addressed to me, to Sky, from my grandma. In the letter, she told me that she always knew I was meant to be Sky, and that she was sorry for pushing the name Nancy on me. She said she had seen how unhappy it made me, and that she wanted me to be happy more than anything. She also revealed that she had been the one to convince my mom to let me be called Sky when I was born, because she had seen how much my dad loved the name. I was in tears by the end of the letter. It felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I finally felt like I had my grandma's blessing to be Sky, and it meant the world to me. But then, just when I thought things were settling down, my dad dropped another bombshell. He told me that he had been doing some thinking, and he had decided to legally change his last name to Sky. He said he wanted to show his support for me, and that he had always loved the name too. I couldn't believe it. My dad, changing his last name to Sky? It was the most unexpected and amazing gesture. My mom was stunned, but after everything that had happened, she didn't protest. Boyfriend accuses me of deceiving him by not disclosing my financial situation, but then I find out he's a gold digger. Oh boy. I don't know what I did wrong, or if what I did is wrong, and I need some advice. I didn't want to post this on my real account because I'd like to be as anonymous as possible. My boyfriend, 35-year-old male, and I, 35-year-old female, were discussing finances as we wanted to be on the same page. My boyfriend moved in with me unexpectedly 3 months ago, as his landlord decided to move into the property with his family. We were discussing finances, and the topic of how I own my place came up. I explained I won some money, not a lot, but enough to be able to put myself through nursing school, purchase my home, and have some savings, back in 2009, and bought my place outright, and then rented it out until I moved back into it in late 2018. Obviously, I had some luck on my side, as this was right in the middle of the recession, so I got my place for a really cheap price. He says I deceived him by giving him the impression that I was financially well off, and that I led him to believe I was more business savvy than I was. I don't know how I did that because I literally work as a nurse, make decent money, fully own my home, fully own my car, have decent retirement plans, and decent savings. I'm fairly certain that I am financially better off than most people I know. He says that he can't trust me anymore and that he was stupid to have listened to my financial advice. But the thing is, I never gave him any financial advice, except for telling him not to buy a car that was, in my opinion, unreliable and much too expensive. Did I deceive him by not telling him how I got myself financially stable? For your information, we have been dating for almost a year and a half. Edit. I just had another very weird conversation with him, and I honestly can't wrap my head around it. Yeah, so he is definitely a gold digger. He asked me how much I have in savings and seemed impressed with how much, and then said maybe he reacted too aggressively. Then told me that he still wants the car I advised him not to get. He hinted at me getting it for him as a birthday present, since it's his birthday in early March. I am definitely dumping him, going to wait till my 2 sisters and my 2 brother-in-laws can come over before I break up with him in case he reacts crazy. Edit 2. He's jealous and also resentful. He's ranting about how he would have tripled the money if he had won it. Edit 3. He's saying that my money is wasted on me because I don't make money. Apparently, I should have been investing my savings in high-yielding stocks and other investments. For your information, I do get financial advice from a financial advisor I trust, but I am a risk-averse person, so I would never invest it in the manner this idiot is telling me. Sure, the chance to get a lot of money is there, but so is the chance to lose. Edit 4. He's now on a crazy rant because I suggested we take a break from this argument because I don't want to ruin my few days off. My God, I can't believe how he's behaving. He thinks he's so clever, but I am thoroughly disgusted. Oh, it is absolutely over between us. Edit 5. Okay, so I understand him better now. So my house, the property it's on, is what led him to believe I was much richer than I am. He assumed I was loaded, so me telling him I actually got lucky pissed him off. Then, when he found out how much in savings and assets I have, he perked up and had a change of mind. He's now telling me that with just a quarter of my money, he can show me how to invest in the stock market and make real money. Oh, he is genuinely deluded. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I wonder if he's disappointed because he thought you came from a wealthy family. Or is he disappointed that you don't secretly have some lucrative side business on top of being a nurse? I don't see any reason why a rational person would be upset about learning of your winnings. Either way, you're obviously very financially responsible if you're still benefiting from the money you won 15 years ago. You've used it incredibly wisely. If your boyfriend was worth anything, he'd realize you're a keeper after hearing that. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Thank God you found this out right now. I would make him an ex-boyfriend and kick him out. Don't want him to start laying claims to your home's equity after he lives there too long, depending on state-provincial laws on common law partners. He's jealous. He also likely thinks that you were his meal ticket. He is angry over nothing reasonable. 1. 5 years isn't very long, and you don't owe someone the whole, I bought this house because I got money from X blah blah blah. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been 2 weeks since my last post, and boy have things escalated. I thought I had seen the worst of my boyfriend's behavior, but I was wrong. I'm still reeling from the betrayal and the drama that unfolded, and I need to get this off my chest. After my last update, I was determined to end things with my boyfriend. I waited for my sisters and their husbands to come over as planned. But before I could break up with him, he dropped a bombshell on me. He confessed that he had been secretly going through my financial documents while I was at work. He knew exactly how much I had in savings and investments. I was shocked and felt so violated. How could he betray my trust like that? I remember when we first started dating, he was always so interested in my career as a nurse. He would ask me about my day and seemed genuinely impressed by my dedication to helping others. I thought he valued me for who I was, not for what I had. But looking back, there were signs I ignored. He would make offhand comments about my good fortune and joke about me being his sugar mama. I laughed it off at the time, but now I see it was all part of his plan. The confrontation with my boyfriend was intense. My sisters and their husbands were there for support, and it's a good thing they were. When I told him it was over, he lost it. He started yelling about how I owed him for all the advice he had given me and how I was making a huge mistake. He even had the nerve to say that he had been planning to propose and that I was throwing away our future. But the real jaw-dropper came when he admitted that he had been talking to his ex-girlfriend behind my back. He said that she understood him and that she would appreciate his financial expertise. He claimed they had been discussing business ventures and that she was willing to invest in his ideas. I couldn't believe it. Not only had he been using me, but he was also cheating on me emotionally with his ex. I remember when we first met, he told me about his ex and how they had broken up because they wanted different things in life. He painted himself as the victim, saying she was too materialistic. Now I realize he was projecting his own issues onto her. My family was furious. My brother-in-law had to step in between us when my now ex-boyfriend tried to approach me, still ranting about how I'd regret this. It was a mess. But with my family's help, I got him out of my house. I changed the locks that same day and have been working on getting his name off the lease agreement. Since then, I've been trying to pick up the pieces. I've been talking to my financial advisor about additional security measures for my accounts. It's been a tough lesson, but I'm grateful for my family's support. I'm also seeing a therapist to work through the betrayal and trust issues that have surfaced. I never thought I'd be in this situation. I thought my boyfriend and I were building a future together, but it turns out he was only interested in my money. It hurts, but I'm trying to stay positive. I'm focusing on my work and spending time with my family and friends who have been my rock through all of this. I guess the biggest surprise in all of this is how strong I've been. I always thought of myself as someone who avoided conflict, but when push came to shove, I stood up for myself. I'm proud of that. Husband ruins my beloved terrarium and now he's sleeping in a separate room. I'm so angry. I, 29 years old, traveled across the country to visit a company regarding an incredible job offer. I spent 2 days touring the company to decide if it would be the right fit for me after years of self-employment. After meeting with the company, I visited my sister, 32 years old, and her family a few towns over. We barely get to see each other because of work and distance, so it was wonderful to spend a few days with her, the family, and her new baby. I was gone for a total of 8 days. When I returned home, I was excited to spend time with my husband, 33 years old, and tell him about the trip, my visit with my sister, my impression of the city, etc. We were meant to be celebrating our anniversary and decided to put off the discussion about whether or not I should accept the job offer until after our anniversary getaway. I'd arranged for us to go on a luxury train ride because he's a big train enthusiast, and we were meant to leave for the trip 3 days after I got home. This is when the problems started. I have a very large closed bioactive terrarium, which I made with my mother 15 years ago. It's one of my favorite things I have of her from before she passed. This terrarium is my pride and joy and has come with me everywhere since we planted it. It was always super healthy and beautiful, and I've only ever had to open it 4 times to do a little maintenance and watering. My husband knows all of this, which is why I don't understand why he decided to tamper with it in my absence. I didn't notice the night I got home because I was exhausted, but the next morning I went to check on the terrarium to find it in a terrible state. The roots were rotting and the plants dying and molding. He told me that the day I left, he poured a few cups of water into the vessel and sealed it again. I was so mad I cried, and it turned into a huge argument because it's just a plant, and all you do is look at it anyway. He called me ungrateful and overdramatic, and that I should appreciate that his intention was to help me, and that he didn't ask because he didn't want to bother me on my trip. I ended up cancelling our anniversary plans, partly because I was so upset that I didn't want to go, and partly because I wanted to try and salvage the plants, and that would require time. He hit the roof when I told him and is now sleeping in a separate room and refusing to speak to me because according to him, I'm being petty and trying to destroy our marriage. Am I being oversensitive about my plants? My friends are pretty evenly split and have pointed out that he was just trying to be thoughtful, however misguided it was. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, and I doubt your husband was trying to help. Firstly, if you have only opened it a few times, then he knows it doesn't get watered that often. Secondly, he knows how much it means to you, so he should know that you would have taken care of it before you went, or would have left very detailed instructions. Also, how big is it? Would a few cups of water have been way too much, even if he was just being helpful? The "you just look at it" comment is also strange. That's what everyone does with their plants. Comment 2. Is taking this job going to necessitate a move that he's unhappy about, or change the balance of who the primary breadwinner is? This seems like a tantrum, followed by gaslighting. Not the idiot. Edit. He is feeling jealous and emasculated, though he will never admit that. He sees you advancing further out of his league, and is scared people, or worse you, will start questioning why you are with him. He's also feeding his ego by gaslighting you into believing you need to grovel to be with him. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, a lot has happened since my last post, and I've got quite the update for you all. Buckle up, because things have taken some unexpected turns. So, after the whole terrarium disaster, things between my husband and me were tense, to say the least. We were both stewing in our own versions of hurt and frustration. I was still reeling from the loss of my terrarium, which was more than just plants to me. It was a living memory of my mom. My husband, on the other hand, felt like I was blowing things out of proportion. In the midst of all this, I was still grappling with the job offer. The company was amazing, and the opportunity was something I'd worked hard for. But the thought of moving and starting over, especially with things so rocky at home, was daunting. A few days after I cancelled our anniversary trip, my husband broke the silence. He came to me with a peace offering, a book on terrarium care. It was a small gesture, but it meant he was trying to understand why the terrarium meant so much to me. We had a long talk that night, and he apologized for not respecting something that was important to me. I apologized too for cancelling our trip so abruptly. We decided to reschedule our anniversary getaway, and things were looking up. But then, my sister called. She was having some trouble with her new baby and her husband was away on business. She needed help, and I couldn't say no. I packed a bag and headed over to her place, leaving my husband to stew once again. My sister was grateful for the help, and I was glad to be there for her. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was abandoning my husband when we were just starting to patch things up. My sister noticed my distraction, and we ended up having a heart-to-heart. She reminded me that marriage is about teamwork, and that my husband and I needed to face our challenges together. I returned home with a new resolve to work things out with my husband. But when I walked through the door, I found him in the living room, surrounded by brochures for train trips and romantic getaways. He'd been planning a surprise do-over for our anniversary. I was touched, and we both laughed at the irony of it all. We finally went on our rescheduled train trip, and it was magical. We talked about everything: the job offer, the terrarium, our future. It felt like we were reconnecting in a way we hadn't in a long time. But then, just when I thought we were on the right track, another curveball came our way. My husband's ex-girlfriend reached out to him. She was going through a tough time and wanted to meet up with him for closure. He told me about it, and I appreciated his honesty, but it still made me uneasy. He met with her while I was at work, and when I came home, he was distant. I couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy, even though I trusted him. We had another argument, this time about boundaries and past relationships. It was heated, and things were said that couldn't be taken back easily. The next day, my husband came to me with a letter. It was from his ex, thanking him for the closure and wishing us well. He explained that he wanted to be transparent with me and that he had no feelings for her. It was a misunderstanding on my part, and I felt guilty for doubting him. Now, we're trying to move past it, but it's not easy. The job offer is still on the table, and I have to make a decision soon. My husband says he supports whatever I choose, but I can tell he's worried about the possibility of moving. And that's where we are now. We're working through our issues, trying to rebuild the trust and communication that got lost somewhere along the way. It's not perfect, but we're both committed to making it work. As for the job, I'm still undecided, but I'm leaning towards taking the leap. It's a chance to grow, and I think we're strong enough to handle it. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.